Here's a quick demo on the typeahead that we're using for our text fields to actually do lookups. First one we're going to look at again. We kind of went through these the other day, but there's been some additional stuff, and hopefully we're kind of done with the feature list. It's basically set up so that you can start typing in something. In this case, we want to be able to type an employee, but not just any employee within the system. It has to be an employee within our with the login user's program, so same company, and it has to be filtered based on those employees have to be able to be nominated. So there's a flag on the employee if they're allowed to be nominated or not. So we just got a couple. Just put my own name in here, which I'm not allowed to do, and then just put somebody else out. Okay, John, man. And the list is set up to scroll if there's more than one. So all that's set up. Add the employee. If you notice, as we typed it in, it's now expanded out to match the same length as the input here. So that's working. And that is a basic unbound or a list of employees that's not linked to a value in another object or something. So it's a way to find those. Back to the code. If we look at how that was set up, we created a typeahead, which we have one now set up through our employee delegates. We can create a typeahead for any employee now. We basically give it the list of where the login employee or the root employee, as we call it, would be, and then we can also give it a filter. And this filter, we're saying in this case, can they get nominated? And if we go over and look at where it creates a typeahead filter, just to get an idea what that looks like and why we centralize it in one place, is what it will do is create a typeahead object with parameters. Parameters has max results, so as you type something in, it's only going to show maximum of those at one time. Minimum input length before it actually starts storing searches, so you have to at least enter in 3 characters. And then we go ahead and create the typeahead with those parameters. And the thing about the typeahead is it allows us to customize a way to actually find out if it's a match or not. So if we wanted to, we could say last name or full name or whatever, but based on our programs, they're set up, configured so that they can have different values that they could display or search on, stuff like that. So we actually have a method in here that will return us that, and then we have methods for what actually gets displayed when they pick one. The drop-down display is different than what gets displayed here, or can be. The sort value. So in other words, we might be displaying or drop-down displaying, a bunch of information, but what do you actually want it to sort off of? So those are individual parameters that we can use to kind of configure the functionality that we get out of it. So it's kind of nice. Once this is all set up as a text field, as an input, and if you look at the code here, we're just using an oatextfield. It's not associated with any hub or anything. We just give it a name. We're basically telling this page, this text field with that name, to be a text field. But we're also setting up that whole typeahead, and that typeahead will automatically then the text field has all the functionality built into it to go ahead and set it up so it will automatically allow for the typeahead functionality. Once we select a user, we have the Add Employee button. This button here, we want to be able to easily go ahead and know who that employee is and add it to the list. So all it has to do in this case is here's the button for that. That button, like a lot of our controls, has an on submit. If this control was the one that actually submitted the form or did an AJAX submit, then you can basically get the employee by referring back to the text field where the typeahead was done. And the nice part about that is we don't have to try to figure out and search based on text and stuff like that. It's already built into the text field to actually give us what the typeahead object was. So that's pretty helpful. So that's all working there, display-wise and everything. All the functionality seems to be there the way that we want it. If we look at the e-card, where it's using, again, similar functionality but a little bit more. And again, code-wise, we're just set up so that we just have pretty similar to what the last one looked like. It's not going all the way out to here because in this case we don't want it to. But it's also letting us have multiple values within one text field. So that's the difference here. And this is basically how it's set up if we look at the code. Is it set up so that that will have a, there's our type ahead. And the difference here is when we create the text field. Our other text field that we just created was set up so that, sorry about that, was set up without being bound to a hub or anything. It's basically just a name. This one here is actually given the hub that it's that's bound to and the property it's bound to. So based on that information, it's able to figure out that this is a list of employees. This is a hub of employees. So based on that, this text field will go ahead and use an internal way of allowing to have multiple ones, and it will actually create and populate those that collection of employees for the C card. So that's another way to basically get the type ahead functionality. There's one more, and it is, hold on, so that's shop. To look it up here real quick. It's over in the shopping. So we're going to go over to the shopping again. I'll go ahead and do an item. Pick something here, redeem it, and we're going to go over to the cart. Over here we have an address. So one of the things is we want to be able to fill out information about the address, but also the country and the state. Well, one of the things about our programs and how they're set up is, the state, they can actually set up what country and state the different locations are in and what they're going to call those. So for mine, I went in there and said program state name is the name of their state. In the United States, we just say state. Other countries, we might not even have this. So if it's in a country that doesn't have states, this would automatically be removed. Under country, if we put in USA or form of America or something like that, we'll go ahead and do the type ahead. Fill that out. In the meantime, since we picked United States, it will go ahead and make the type ahead work for this here. So that was the other place where we're using it, along with employees and stuff. Employees we probably have in some other areas. But what's nice here, if we clear that out and we pick a different country, then this ends up being a free form. So there's no type ahead or whatever in here. Just go back to USA, pick that, let's go pick Alaska, and it will fill that out. So that's what we have for the type ahead. If we look at the code for that, that's the cart, so it gets kind of busy in here. State, country. So under the state, we have multiple things going on. One is the name of the state, and then so we have something here that actually wants to set the placeholder. So when you don't enter in state yet, we want that placeholder to actually show something based on what the name of the state from wherever they're referring to or from. So we have a component that will handle that. That's a HTML element that does that, and we could add an attribute handler for us. So each HTML element, in this case the state, is we can actually create a way to dynamically set any of the attributes in there. Then the state text field itself is automatically set up to have a list of states. This here is a free-form state. If we get into the USA state, we have a way to, here it is, here's a text field. So we create a type ahead based on the list of states that's over in our model delegate. So there we have a populated list of states. We can go ahead and create a type ahead off of that. Tell our text field what the type ahead is, and it will go ahead and have all that functionality built in there. The country basically is doing the same thing. That's the type of state. It figures out what's going on. If the country changes or not, it will go ahead and flip all that stuff around, and that's done in another piece of code up here. Here's some other templating that's being used on here that we're going to look at later too. That's it. Thank you.